You know what I see from you guys every once in a while? It's not the first time I've even brought it up on this show before, but you guys will compliment me by saying, you know what I really like about Andy? It feels like he's the only guy I watch where he's not some industry plant working for one of the sports books trying to push their stuff onto us and give us some bet that's going to tank our night on an order from one of the Gestapo over at the sports books. And I really like hearing that. But then, I got to see people say, no, I remember he was trying to push Caesars Sportsbook stuff on us. Yes, donkeys, because remember last year when I was very excited that for the first time, one of the main sportsbooks, not Bet365, but for the first time, I was able to find a sportsbook that allowed you to add point props and shots on goal to NHL same-game parlays. It was something I was looking for years. So I was excited to share that with you, and I told them at OddsShopper, hey, I want to start giving them Caesars bets. Do you have any promotions? Because they have promotions with sportsbooks. I simply read them to you. Want to know the grand total that I've received from sportsbooks my entire life? Yes, that's right. The same that you bid on The Price is Right. No, even less. The last person on The Price is Right who always goes, $1. You know what always bothered me about that? You're going to bid $1. How uncreative is that? So if the last one before you was $13.25, why do you have to bid $1? I would always bid some asinine amount if I was on the show. Yeah, what, that hot tub right there? I think it's $32. But they go with $1. Everyone's used to $1. If you ever find yourself on The Price is Right, please bid $32 instead of $1 if you're the last one on Bidder's Row or whatever you call that thing. Anyway, that's what I've received. If I received $1, it would be infinitely more than I've received from the sports books. I don't know how many times I have to tell you guys. I'm not a pro gambler. I'm not a sharp. I'm just a sniffer who's watched and enjoyed hockey and played hockey my entire life with a side sniff of NFL here. I'm an entertainer first, and I give you sniffs. Sometimes they're right. Sometimes they're very right. But you can rest assured I haven't received a goddamn thing from any... Oh, the person I told you I would stop using name in vain. All right, strike 2. I will say this. If one of them calls me and says, Andy, here's $8,000, just say, hey, you put in a little sniff here and a little sniff there. You think I'm going to say no? I guess that depends on you. But right now, you know who's running this show. It's the Green Bay Packers minority owners, the Patreon people. So to them, yeah, they're the ones. So if you want to say, oh, he's paid off by the shills are the viewers of these videos. It's the only people who are paying me at the moment because I left OddsShopper obviously a couple weeks ago. And if there's anything I have with you people, it's at least a little credibility that I'm frequently honest. I'm too much of a curmudgeon to not be honest. I'd rather be miserable and honest than a lying fraud. I don't know, kind of like every other person you'd see on Instagram. Now let's roll on to our Tuesday night slate here, which I like slightly better than the Monday night slate. You want to know the best thing I gave out on Monday? Essentially, staying away from everything. I told you guys this is not the right slate. I see disgust all over this slate. And how'd you guys fare, all you Florida Panthers bettors, all you Colorado Avalanche bettors? And now you're that girl crying at night because the exciting guy who got off to an early lead and went up 2-1 and tied it up 3-3, they lost for you against the Canadians. I don't know if you enjoy the emotional roller coaster of the Avalanche. I like betting the Avalanche in certain cases. You guys know this. They were my wife last year. But they're a headache this year. And now they just lost Nichushkin for a little while. But we'll get back to this in a second. That's not the only thing. The Kings had lost 8-9 straight. A lot of people I know wanted Carolina. Didn't give out the Carolina one. And then there was the Kraken, who hadn't lost in regulation in, 14 games or something like that? They lost to Pittsburgh. There were so many ticking time bombs. The only money line I gave was on the Boston Bruins, and that was a comfortable victory, and we even had the under on Haula. We were able to get the under in that Vegas game. We missed a few along the way. We got the Druin point, both teams to score 2+. When considering that full slate, the fact that we came out alive is pretty impressive. And this slate, I like a little bit more than yesterday's slate. But just remember that for future reference. The random Monday holiday, a bunch in the afternoon. And that also goes for you Canucks bettors. I know there was some of you out there, you were excited to bet on the Canucks. Upsets left and right yesterday. Maybe today will be a little bit different because there certainly is a favorite I like. Should I start with the favorite? Let's do it. The Winnipeg Jets are playing at home against the lowest of low New York Islanders. The New York Islanders, who lost a game against Nashville in the final minute, gave up a goal with like 3 seconds left, and then just laid an absolute dud in Minnesota, who Minnesota is so bad they have their own controversy. Bill Guerin holding press conferences, and they're kind of a nightmare. Their goalie's injured, and they just easily dismissed the Islanders. Now the Islanders, after that game, have to go to Winnipeg and play a Winnipeg team who's going to be thirsty for a win. Pretty sure they didn't play since that Flyers loss. And then meanwhile, Islanders are going back-to-back. They pulled Sorokin early in that game, which means they're probably going to run him back out there. He had started 9 in a row because Varlamov's injured. But if they don't play Sorokin, you could be getting the Islanders backup. So if you get that and you're seeing Hellebuck, I really like Winnipeg. I got to tell you the but, though. I'm telling you, I want to put a stack on it. Now, also, be responsible. Don't be crazy out there. But I want to bet whatever you would define a stack. Maybe just a stack of fun. I want to put a stack of fun on the Jets. But the Islanders have won like each of their last 6 contests against, no matter how well the Jets are playing. You guys remember that? I'm still scarred a little by that one last year. The Islanders were playing poorly. They were going up to Winnipeg. They did the home and home with the Jets. They were due for such a loss. And they randomly, after playing awful defense, played one of the best defensive games without Matt Barzal. And I still don't know how they won that game. I still don't know how it went down. And are they just going to do that to me again? But I know the right play here is Winnipeg. I got to tell myself this is a different Winnipeg team. This is a better Winnipeg team than the ones of yesteryear, and we know what the Islanders are. The good news about the Isles, if they happen to get up, we know they can blow any lead against anybody. I'm going to take the Winnipeg Jets, and I wouldn't be upset anytime you take the Jets to win a game to add an under 7.5. We know how much those go under. The only problem is the Isles are so bad. They may let up enough to go over like the 5.5 or 6. So if I'm going to do money line, I'll do Winnipeg and under 7.5. I don't honestly mind a sprinkle on the -1.5. How about this? We'll do what we did with the Boston Bruins and New Jersey Devils yesterday. Give me the Winnipeg Jets to win. And even if I have to, Kyle Palmieri. Kyle Palmieri's been very cold, especially shooting the puck in the last month or so, even a little over a month. I wouldn't mind combining one of them, the unders on their point props, with a Winnipeg win in that game. The only thing that worries me is those previous matchups. But you got to remember, if you're that guy who walks by a roulette board and saw a bunch of black and you think now the next one's going to be black, you're an idiot. However, I'm going to trust that the Winnipeg Jets are going to be able to do it. Now, the Jets usually are associated with unders. There are a couple other teams like that on the slate, and one of them are the Seattle Kraken. They were involved with another under yesterday. I think we took their under before that. I'm going to go back to another under of theirs. But yes, this is a don't you know, bump it up under. Somebody put in the comments yesterday, why are you telling us to bump up these unders? I'm a new user. I'm a Dan.
A standard 9 to 5 regular bettor who waves at his neighbors and is only interested in placing one straight bet per evening.
Well, I tend to bump up the unders in the event that it's 3-2 in the third. Because if it's 3-2 in the third, you have a high likelihood that a team's going to try to sit back in the last 10 minutes, absorb, and try to hold on for the victory. Usually when I'm betting unders, it's with teams who try to close out games like that. Like you saw that one yesterday with Vegas. Vegas, 3-1 lead in the third, sat everyone back, looked to counter, almost scored a fourth, and then I think they got the empty netter or something like that. So in the event that it's 3-2, I want that under 6.5 in the event that they score that empty netter in the same way Vegas did yesterday. Even though the Vegas one was to get to 5, in the event that it's 3-2, I want to be able to clear that. You don't really see me do it with overs because what are you going to do? Bump it down to 5.5? Because now, if I'm going to take an over 5.5, I'm probably going to take a puck line. There's a whole theory about that. Go watch some of my old episodes of Picking Corners of money lines, puck lines, and what totals you should combine them with if you want to do the combinations. Anyway, I want the under 6.5 in the Kraken versus the Rangers. Kraken going right back on the ice against the Rangers. I do want to lean Rangers. The Rangers are coming off a very low-scoring win at home. They're staying at home. You got a team who played last night coming into their building. I smell another low-scoring home win for the New York Rangers, but that's a high price to pay for the Rangers, who are not playing well whatsoever, against a Kraken team who is playing well and just happened to get shut out on one night against the Penguins. You see those random low-scoring ones, but regardless, whether they were wins, losses, these Kraken have been involved in unders. I'll go with the bump it up under 6.5 in that game right there. Then there's another team who played yesterday. It was one of the upsets, the Ducks. They upset Florida, won 5-4. Now they're going into your favorite building in Washington, and they're playing the Capitals. The first thing I want to take, under 6.5, for two reasons: the defensive style of Washington, and the second reason, this is a new reason, so pay attention. Dostal, the rookie goalie on Anaheim. This guy is incredible. I swear to you, I am dealing John Gibson for whatever team needs a goalie at the deadline. This kid, look, sometimes people look fantastic as a rookie. Remember when the Hamburglar went to the Western Conference Final? I don't think he was a rookie, but still, you see it. But this guy, his positioning, I mean, if you watch that game against Toronto, and even you watched a couple of days ago, all his starts, he looks like a wall in there. He looks like prime J.S. Jaguar. So if they're playing him against a Washington team who obviously is bottom 3 in the NHL in offense, I like the under 6.5 in that one as well. And just like that Rangers game, you ready for this? You guys are going to love to hear it. I kind of like Washington, but that price is pretty high for a team. I will say this, they've been fighting, and they found some chemistry. I was watching some of these games versus the Rangers. There's a new line that the Ovechkin injury impromptu forced them to put together, and I really liked what I saw, and it was Pacioretty with Strome and Oshie. They were getting chances against the Rangers, and chemistry is a real weird thing. Sometimes when you put guys together who circumstances have forced it upon you, you learn like, oh my God, look at these players. They complement each other's skills, and we were never expecting that, and now you found yourself a concrete line to use. Even when Ovechkin comes back, you stick him with Kuznetsov, because now Kuznetsov looks like a lost soul. So I don't know if you want to take the under point prop on him. That might actually be a decent bet in this one. But because Anaheim tends to, give up too many chances, that worries me. Hoping Dostal can be the difference in terms of the under, leaning towards Washington. And I want to take a member of that line. Give me Dylan Strome to register a point in this game as well. You can do the Strome point. I try never to do point props with unders. You guys obviously have heard me take the Ruckus same game over parlays, and I know you're dying for one of those.
Ye be sniffing a parlay.
How about this? We got 2 of those coming your way. Should we go to them right now? You want to go to them? You want to go to the better one or the weaker one? Let's go to the weaker one because it's earlier. We got the Avs playing 2 straight nights against the Ottawa Senators. The Senators, they'll show you ruckus. They'll take ruckus away. Most times, they're conceding. At home is when they're usually scoring.
You sure about that?
They just got involved with a ruckus home game against San Jose. Think maybe they can do one with Colorado? I will say this. You guys look for a random upset pick. You love when I try to give you upsets. I'll tell you this. Colorado's ripe for another ruckus upset. Not your standard upset, a ruckus upset, kind of like that game with the Canadiens last night. Another over for Colorado. The only non-over in their recent stretch has been that one game against Vegas when Vegas was struggling immensely on offense. I mean, they still kind of are. But other than that, they're finding themselves in these high-scoring affairs. You saw it against the Leafs. You saw it against the Canadiens. I think you're going to see it again against the Ottawa Senators. And Nichushkin's not in that lineup. We know Lehkonen hasn't been in that lineup. We know Byram hasn't been in that lineup. So they're relying on the big guys once again to do everything. Either they do everything or the team loses. I think they're kind of ripe for an upset here. Do I feel fantastic about taking the Ottawa Senators? No. But this is one of those all roads lead to a rat. And I think that the Ottawa Senators might be that rat, but that's secondary for this game. I want to talk about that ruckus, the over 6.5 with player point props from both sides. On the Ottawa side, man, you have so many to choose from. I'm so tempted to always go with 2 points for Shabbat because of the price that we're getting. But honestly, the most consistent guy from them, for me, on this whole season, this is not somebody you should be expecting to lead them as he's getting older, but it's Claude Giroux. This guy is as reliable as they come. I mean, I've tried to give Stützle so many chances, even Brady Tkachuk. but it always seems to be Giroux coming through more than the others. You're going to have a couple opportunities in this game, so give me 2 points for Giroux and the over 6.5. I'm sorry, take out the over 6.5. You guys know my rule. If I would take 2 points from the underdog and 1 point from the quote-unquote favorite, I'm going to take the plus 1.5 for the underdog. So 2 points for Giroux, plus 1.5 for Ottawa. That game obviously can serve up some potential ruckus, along with Toronto, Edmonton. And I know I said we're going to lay off Edmonton for a little bit with the ruckus over because they played a couple members of the Scam 5. And where was the ruckus? It was nowhere to be found. This one's in Edmonton. I just have to give this a shot because Toronto, coming off a couple losses, embarrassing losses, I feel like they're going to bring it on offense, and I feel like Edmonton's bringing it on offense. So you give me the over 6.5 in this one. Give me a point for a player on each side. The opportunities are endless. I really see Morgan Riley raking them up. Give me one for Morgan Riley, one for Nugent Hopkins, over 6.5. But remember, you can sniff your own way, sniff your own way, and look at all the members. Here are the members of Toronto that you can take: Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner, William Nylander, John Tavares, Morgan Riley, and that's typical. I tend to stay to the top power play 5 because you need to be raking up points. On the other side, you can go with obviously McDavid, Draisaitl, Bouchard, the defenseman, Hyman, Nugent Hopkins. Those are the candidates from both teams. You start digging deeper than that, you're getting wild, but you can do any 2-point combos between those 10 players. And these are same-game ruckus parlay. These shouldn't be the meat and potatoes of your nights, but they can be the lottery ticket that I know most of you Pirates are looking for. That's what I got for you here on a Tuesday. Good luck to you. Better luck to me. Do me a favor and subscribe here to my YouTube channel. Trying to grow the thing. It's doing pretty well. Got to try to get this out there to more regular guys, a.k.a. Dans. Every new Dan and Westworld searcher who just searched NHL bets tonight and came across my videos. We're happy to have all of you. If you want to own a piece of this show, like the minority owners in the Green Bay Packers, look at all the good stuff it did for the Packers recently. You can do that by joining my Patreon. It's patreon.com/Andy Francess. As I mentioned earlier, there are no sponsors here. There have never been any sponsors here. There have never been any cars for any of you. So if you want to join that, it's patreon.com/Andy Francess. Very much appreciated. I'll be back with you tomorrow to talk my favorite Wednesday NHL bets. I'll talk to you then.